and share my screen and kind of move into our evening. So again, welcome tonight. To the degree that you feel comfortable, if you want to, in your rename next to your name, everyone should have the ability to rename. If you want to put in IMS, if you're looking to potentially enroll or re-enroll at the middle school, that might help our team a little bit to know your interest, and or MIHS if you're looking at the high school. And if you have both, you can put them both in there. Not required, but it might help us tonight as we're moving along. So I'll pause here for a second because if you want to take a quick shot of the QR code, it will link you to this presentation. We'll also make it available on our website after the meeting, but I wanted everyone to be able to have access to this just in case there's any technical issues that you might be having during the evening. So tonight, again, we'll talk a little bit about the school district. That will be my portion. I'll allow Walter and Susie to talk a little bit more about the high school, Mary Jo and Jana to talk about the middle school. And then depending on our group and where questions are going, we're either going to go into a breakout room by school to allow you to ask some additional questions, or we'll stay as a whole group. We'll kind of see how our group is going as we proceed through the night. So we are one school district, and obviously the unique part is we have the unique opportunity to be an island, a city, a school district. And so we don't have the challenges of larger districts where they have multiple, what they call oftentimes feeder areas. But we have our 4 elementaries that feed into Islander Middle School and then on into the high school. As many of you know, several years ago, our school board and our community engaged in a process, obviously, to really think about the vision, the values, and the mission of our school district, with this heart and soul of it being our students and the students as the priority. And so we'll continue to use these guiding values, vision, and mission to meet the needs of students, both now and as we progress in the future. We have just finished our annual report. It will be sent out soon to all of our families on the island. And so we do have some information in there about some of the highlights from last year as we moved through a very challenging time. And, you know, putting it right on the table, we know that some of you who are on the call tonight might have made a decision to take your children to a different school because of our response, or your child wasn't succeeding in a remote environment. I am pleased, as I think I share with my colleagues on the call tonight, that we've continued to keep our schools open this year. And while we are dealing with a current surge of Omicron and we might have future challenges, our goal is to keep the schools open and keep the students and the teachers together in an in-person environment. That has not been easy at times, but we really think that it's in the best interest of students. And we're seeing the benefits when they have the opportunity to not only be in the classroom in person with their peers and their teachers, but it's all the access to the services, and the extracurricular and co-curricular experiences that are really important. There's also a link on here to the report card. This is a report card put together by the Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction. And so if I pull that up here, if it's working down in Olympia tonight. It may not be, so I'll come back to that and see if what's going on. Sometimes they're doing maintenance upgrades to the OSPI website. Nonetheless, we have our report card on there. Talks about student demographics, staff demographics, but also how we've been doing as a school district over time in a number of different related areas. I will say that we did administer and give the Smarter Balance Assessment to our students this past fall. Our 4th graders through 12th graders essentially took last year's assessments, and where we certainly maybe saw some pulling back, our students did extremely well and continued to persevere, especially compared to others. And we'll be preparing a board report on that later this month. Our goal, again, is really to think about the whole child. And that's what the school district has continued to think about, especially as we come back out of the impacts of online learning, thinking about the social, emotional, academic, but also the physical needs of our students and what do they need to meet their full potential. So before we go on and I turned over to the high school, I did want to bring in some student voice. And this is a video that one of our students put together that I wanted to show from the high school, just kind of demonstrating some of the things that our students are continuing to do, and is really quite impressive in terms of what they're able to accomplish. So.
CCR, College Career Readiness, is a great way for students to invest in themselves and their futures by figuring out something they're passionate about. It gives you opportunities you wouldn't get otherwise in a way that you could not imagine. It's a great way to really unlock your truest potential for now and your future.
CCR stands for College and Career Readiness, and those are the courses here at Mercer Island High School and at Islander Middle School that are content-based, but also have an application and skills experience for our students. They're wonderful courses for our students because they provide the why. Why is this subject area is important? How is this applied out in the world?
I think the hallmark of this course is students become entrepreneurs in my class. You know, they're not just journalists, but they're also out there looking for stories. They're learning the skills that they need to learn so that they can be effective in their job. And oftentimes that's something that they are learning for the first time. And in my mind, that's great preparation for life after high school and college, where you just have to keep learning and keep applying and growing.
I sort of always knew I wanted to do something with English, but journalism is sort of the first thing that like really grabbed my attention. And in the communication skills, more than anything, that it's taught me like connecting to people. It sort of is the course that brought me out of my shell more than anything. And also just being able to work in a team, especially when there was a lot of different opinions and voices that we had to take into account in order to produce something we were proud of.
My absolute favorite part about teaching this course is hearing students discover their voices and to understand that their words have power and that what they have to say is meaningful and part of a larger conversation, not only about the school community, but the local community or wider, that their voices matter.
And that part that we've been exploring is this guitar riff.
I actually produce my own music outside of this course. So a lot of the musical ideas, as well as the more like business-based ideas, like getting in touch with artists and making those connections, I've used a bunch.
Right, so E, D, D. I think my favorite part about teaching this class is that students really get to, like I said, express themselves and come up with new and creative ways to use sound to show off both the types of music that they like and the types of music that they hope to create.
What's most valuable to me about this class is just how open-ended it is. We're allowed to make our own projects, so we get to set our own goals and then work to complete them.
I hope that every student leaves with an inspiration and the skills and tools that they need to create their own music. Hopefully they're creating music that they enjoy long after they've left the class.
International Entrepreneurship is our capstone class for our business and marketing pathway. It is an opportunity for our students who have taken all of the other business classes, marketing, intro marketing, business law, AP Econ, to take that knowledge and apply it.
Outside of school, what I use from this course is the communication skills that we've developed through either emails or phone calls, and even in-person meetings. What we learn in this classroom really applies to the real world.
What we do is we create a student-run company, Mercer Trading, and our students in that class get to run this company.
The most valuable thing about this class to me is the community that we've created. It's nice to know that at the end of the day, you can come to our classroom and be surrounded by people who want to make the company a better place and make our community a better place.
It's about as real world as it can get. And they walk away with that, hopefully with an understanding about what it means to be a business person, what it means to be an entrepreneur.
I'm looking to become an engineer in my future, and this has really taught me a lot about engineering, using robotics, learning VEX, and just being able to understand designs that work well.
My favorite part about teaching this course is that it's not a traditional class, it's very hands-on. So the students kind of get an end goal and they get the challenge, and then it's just their job to figure out how to get there. And I just kind of help them along the way.
It's a fun class. It's a pretty nice escape from all the difficult, harder classes. And I've learned a lot about engineering and programming using it.
So one thing I like to teach the students is if they're gonna, attempt something, don't be afraid to fail. I think that's kind of a really important lesson because not all kids are gonna go into robotics, but that's something that they can take with them everywhere. And if they're gonna fail, fail big. Like if you have an idea, you don't know if it's gonna work, try it anyway.
So what is a COVID-19 molecular test?
In this course, Biotechnology Research and Ethics, we prepare students for the future by giving them biotechnology skills. They learn really about what's going on in the world. So for example, we're learning about COVID-19 and how the tests work and the vaccines. And I feel like this is the course where we can just really dive into certain topics.
I took AP Psychology as a way to explore my interest in psychology for a potential future career path. After falling in love with that, I realized that I want to do, hopefully, psychological research as I go through college and maybe even further than, grad school and as a profession. And biotech is a way for me to explore that interest because it's so heavily focused on research and that process. I wanted to combine my two interests to see if that's right for me in the future.
Well, I recommend the CCR course to everyone. It's an environment where you can fail, make mistakes, and learn from them. And it's a great place to figure out what you're interested in. It's something that excites you every day. It's a great way to figure out what you can do in the future in an environment where you're not taxed for it. So yeah, thank you for watching.
All right, so bringing us back, wanted to, as kind of the intro into shifting it over here in a moment to Walter and Susie, just give you a glimpse of some of the things that our students have been up to. That is an example of a student who took a capstone project and then built it on one of many courses and offerings in our school district. So with that, Walter and Susie, let me turn it over to you. I'll share my screen and kind of move forward, and I can go as quickly or as slowly as you want through the slides here.
Thank you, Dr. Rundle. I appreciate it. For everyone here, we went ahead and posted the school profile and the link in chat. You're welcome to look through that, but it gives an overview of our programs and generally our student performance. But I want to start with just essentially why, as a parent, as a child, you should consider us. And it is that we offer a really unique niche in this region and somewhat across the country. And that is, we are a comprehensive public high school that offers a wide array of services and also offers the highest level of competition and standards for academics. So it's that balance of those two things that I think make this a really unique place. What pulls it together is our student sense of community. I think that they draw upon the community at large, but our high school has its own culture. And I'm very proud of the culture that our students uphold, and particularly how they've done that during this time in COVID. So to walk through a few highlights on that slide, and I want to keep it brief and make sure that we have plenty of time for questions. First, I mentioned this idea of high expectations with high support. Fundamentally, as a school, I and we believe that the way that you create high levels of performance for students is to create a safe learning space, a safe emotional space, a place of belonging, and a place of support. And when we do those things right, and we connect a kid with interest, they're able to achieve at a level higher than a lot of times we can imagine. Some of these ideas you just heard from our kids are not canned responses. Those are things that they've come up with, and we can never answer those questions for their futures as they did. The other idea is through the support, we offer academic support in a variety of levels. Because a lot of times if parents are choosing between a private or independent school and a public school, they look at that class ratio piece. So to counter sometimes the larger class sizes in a public high school, we offer levels of support that are systemized and probably a little more formalized and a little more greater variety than a lot of private or independent schools offer. We have academic support that is funded by our PTSA and manned by our teachers for before and after school, online and in-person support when students need it. We provide a weekly Islander hour, which is a time where students can either work on things that are important in their life skills, information on how they engage in the school, or needing academic support. We also provide a CARES team, which is a group of educators in our building that review student performance week by week, looking for any student who is struggling on a grade level, an attendance level, or a mental health level, and make sure that we connect the right services with that student. We offer an array all the way from students who are doing college level coursework fairly early on through students who require significant academic support and or support with their learning in general. Our counseling services, we are so proud of the expertise that's in our building and the ability for us to find that best fit for student interest, the level of student workload that should be there for a healthy child that's achieving, and also to find that best fit in college as a student or child moves forward. With a graduation rate that's in the high 90 percentile, with over 90% of our students going to colleges and universities, we do look for that, not just the first thought of fit, but the best fit. And I really appreciate that from our counseling services. We also provide a series of wellness services that have a vast array, but youth and family services are counselors that work specifically on mental health for our student body. We also serve lunch groups. Right now we have one that's working on managing wellness and managing anxiety through wellness behaviors. One of the things that makes it fundamental for us is that every student finds a place that they belong. With dozens and dozens, I'm thinking it's approaching, it's somewhere in that 60 to 100 range, I haven't counted it recently, of clubs and activities, our clubs that are set up by students. We have significant leadership opportunities through ASB, through our Student Senate, and our Voices for Change group that's just been begun this year, which takes different, typically underrepresented groups of students and pulls them together so that they have significant voice. Our performing arts also creates a significant amount of community support and unity. Our band is renowned nationally, but it's not the only one. We have a great theater arts program, a quality choir program, and an amazing orchestra program with a great history in and of itself. You've already heard about the CCR activities. They actually do bring a sense of community to our school because they help students find that connection or interest that they want to pursue well beyond their time with us. I wish that you, if you haven't been here, I see a couple of familiar faces, but if you could just be in our building on the first day of school back from COVID, if you could have just been in our building on any Friday for a game day, the sense of spirit, excitement, and camaraderie for being in the space where we are as a school is hard to match. And there's that balance between size and also between students knowing one another well and supporting each other that creates a really unique space. Our academics include over 20 AP courses, an extensive CCR or CTE or career and technology programming catalog. There's a great communications program, great business and marketing, and our computer engineering along with robotics is growing quickly and is one that also we're quite proud of. You also may have heard of CREST, which is a non-traditional part of our high school, which is based on project-based learning. It is more self-paced, it is more collaborative, and is a smaller learning community within our school. The expectations for students are high, but it really is designed for students who don't necessarily seek that traditional high school education where you're sitting through classes, doing assignments and studying for tests. They want to do things that are more collaborative and more hands-on. We have that opportunity as well. I mentioned our performing arts, the variety of electives that are also within our subjects. You got a little bit of a taste of that. I would encourage you to look through our course catalog because it's really quite hard to match when you start shopping. There's a diversity of offerings, and then one program that wasn't shouted out, check in 88.9 at any point you like around the island. KMIH, The Bridge, is our radio station. It is run by students. It is phenomenal. It is actually my top radio station that I listen to personally. And it's amazing to hear their voices and how they are learning on the job every day. On an extracurricular level, we have state and national championship level teams and sports. We offer all the WIA sports in this region. But I want to add that these sports, while they're highly competitive, are also highly inclusive. To use one example of cross country, we have students that are running at an elite Division I level. We have students that are running for the first time, and they all support one another in that endeavor because it's part of what we do. I'm proud of our student body, and where I would start to talk about why you really should choose us. If you're in a student point, you are going to have choice, you're going to have voice, and you're going to help lead our school. We are absolutely committed to finding each student's strength and then building that strength. There's a variety of offerings and a culture of unanimity that is pretty unparalleled. And just to let you know, as a parent, you will not be limiting. In fact, you'll be enhancing your students' chances of being admitted to a highly competitive university if that's the goal. We have students that go everywhere across the country at every level. But really, we're more committed to making sure that student is successful, not just in getting to that first college, but to finding the right fit and succeeding when they're there and beyond. So thank you for the very quick overview of the whole high school. Susie Brown is our veteran counselor here and has a couple of things to share if you're interested.
How many of you are, let's see, can you raise your hand? Do you have the ability to raise your hands? I would love to know how many of you are looking at our high school. Maybe, okay, there's a few of you, great. Well, Walter did an amazing job of giving the overview of the school. What I wanted to let you know is a little bit of nuts and bolts if you decide you want to register, because we really want you to do that with us fairly soon. And we're going to actually have an afternoon new student registration. We have this every year when our private school K-8 students start feeding in. We get students from a couple of the private schools. And so we put this on in the afternoons and it's been a real success. This year, we will be meeting with students on the 16th of February. So that's coming up very soon. And we start our presentation at 4:30. It's from 4:30 to 6. This will all be posted on our website. And if you if you have a paper, I'm going to give you a phone number. You can get more information from our secretary at 206-236-3354. And what we do at that meeting is we'll break you up into, thank you, Fred, we'll break you up into groups by grade level, and we will literally walk you through and have you fill out your choice selections at that time. And then we will hand enter you into our system. We do need, and so I'm kind of doing the nuts and bolts here. We do need you to fill out your enrollment papers beforehand. So what you'll want to do is go to the Mercer Island School District website. You'll click on the families link. And so this will all be there for you. You'll click on the families link and then you'll click on enrollment services. And please, if you follow through that, then we will then literally be able to move you right into our pool of students. We'll help you do that, pick your course selections and move you right in. And we do that every year. It's kind of really fun for me. The kids come in from St. Monica's and Jewish Day and up on Forest Ridge and any of our new students that are moving into the area. And it's really fun to get to meet with them and talk with them and get them set up so they'll be registering with the rest of our students. I have a feeling, I don't know this yet, normally we meet in the library. I do have a feeling that this year, like last year, we will probably Zoom because it's normally a fairly large group. And that's actually pretty fun too, because we'll break you up by group into our breakout rooms, and each of us will take a group of you and then walk you through that and answer some of those questions. So I'm excited for you to come and be with us on that day.
Thanks, Susie. Appreciate that information. And Principal Kelly, I'm going to put my email into the chat for everyone. If you would like additional information, or you want to email me directly about tonight's presentation, or you're having trouble getting a hold of the school, or you're just not quite sure, I can direct you and help you as well. But I'll keep the notes going in the chat as we proceed. So let me turn it over to our middle school, the Gators. And Mary Jo, I will, if you give me just a second to screen share again, I'll get my screen going again, and then you can get started, you and Jana.
Thanks so much, Fred. Thanks for being here with us tonight, and for being willing to listen to us talk about our schools, which we have a lot of pride in. I was saying it when I introduced myself, and sorry, you're going to hear a little bit of squeaking in the background. That's a dog. But when I introduced myself, I've been here 19 years and I stay for a reason. I am very passionate about this school district and about our kids. And I am so excited every day to come to school and see the learning and the community and just the courage that is shown day in and day out from our students. And I, would welcome everyone to join us in the adventure that is middle school. We're one middle school island. There are some private schools on the island too, of course, but public wise, we're the one middle school. So we serve all, and we do a very, I think, good job of preparing our kids to move into the comprehensive high school with lots of introductory experiences that really prepare them to keep diving into what is interesting to them and finding their areas of passion. So, I was looking at what Walter put on his slide, and I copied his high expectations and high support over onto our slide, because I think that really encapsulates what we are. We are about learning at Islander Middle School, and our entire focus is really trying to help our kids understand themselves as learners and become confident in who they are as learners as they move into the challenging environment that they will experience, a positively challenging environment that they will experience as they move to the high school, with so many more choices and so many more options and so many more adventures for them. I put the initials G4E up there. Over the last 4 years, really, our school has been trying to align its value of learning with how we report our grades. And so we are moving away from traditional grading in order for our kids to better understand where they are in the learning progression, and for them to have a sense of themselves as learner, instead of being put into that anxiety producing 100-point scale that they will be ready to accept when they go into the high school, but they will be better prepared to understand who they are, where they are, and how to advocate for themselves along the way. Fred, did you stop sharing for a reason?
I did. I was just trying to get your picture back up there. So as you were talking there, I'll go back into it. I was
got it. No worries. I just wasn't sure. And then the next bullet that we had on there is really about our teachers. I want to say how proud I am to work with our colleagues, our teachers, our parapros, our counseling staff, all of our support staff. We have extensive collaboration at IMS, where the goal is always to think about who our kids are, what do our kids need, and how do we push in with them, connect, engage, and inspire them to keep being learners. And we do that through a process called professional learning communities, where teacher teams, staff teams come together and really examine what it is that we are doing for our kids and how we are supporting them. Jana is going to take it from here, and then I'll come back in a little bit.
Yeah, I think piggybacking off of Mary Jo's comment about wanting our students to get to know themselves as learners, one of the most amazing opportunities they have, I think, is the ability to choose electives. And I brought home my list today and I was kind of looking at it, and we offer like about 30 to 35 different choices for kids to try different things, to get out there, to give beginning instruments a chance, or to try aerospace or marine biology. We have a really extensive array, and even over the course of my time at the middle school, new electives have popped up based on student voice and student interest. And so I think it's a really nice balance to allow them to have the 4 core academic classes, but we also have 2 elective periods per day for each and every one of our students, which they definitely enjoy and have a lot of voice in choosing. Additionally, we take a lot of pride in our transition program. We have it actually on both ends, coming in and leaving. The program that that is really impressive for the incoming 6th graders is our WEB program. WEB stands for Where Everybody Belongs, and we have a group of 8th graders who are self-selected. They have to go through a nomination and acceptance process, but they learn how to be student ambassadors and teach the incoming 6th graders the most basic fundamentals of things we want them to know at the middle school: how to be a middle school learner, how to navigate some of the technological programs we have at school, including Schoology and Skyward, how to find their way around the building. We spend time on the very first day of school, before the kids even meet their teachers, with these 8th grade mentors, getting comfortable and feeling like they're truly welcome into our IMS community. And that really does take a lot of the nerves away, because it is a big deal coming from 5th grade or from a private school that's a significantly smaller potentially. And then as we transition off from 8th grade into 9th grade, we have a lot of support. The counseling team partners with the high school counselors. We have extensive meetings to figure out what is being communicated and how we can best support. And as Susie knows, we're getting a lot of conversation happening right now, and 8th graders are being really mindful about the decisions that are in front of them with high school. And so we bridge those gaps with a lot of attention and support and compassion for the kids and all of the change in front of them. And I think kind of tied into that, we do a lot around the social emotional support. Obviously, these last couple years have been really challenging, in addition to just the space that middle school is. Developmentally, we know kids go through a lot. I think most adults back in middle school,
Jana, we're losing you.
Fondly, it's a challenging time.
Hey, Jana, can I jump in really quick? I think we're losing you just a little bit. You might...
out ways about mental health. We do a lot of activities.
Mary Jo, you want to jump in really
for
quickly?
the
I'll
kids
message her.
connected.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm so sorry you're not hearing Jana, because she just has such.
Am I frozen?
No, you're being pretty mechanical. We could hear maybe one of every 5 words that you were saying. I don't know if you want to try again, or if you want me to kick in. Oh, okay. So, she was talking about the social emotional support for our kids, and it's been a really interesting time at Islander Middle School, because this year, really our 8th graders had about 6 months of time at IMS before they came back as 8th graders. So our 7th graders had almost never been in the building, a little bit in the spring. And obviously our 6th graders were new to us. So we, this year, have really been spending time rebuilding culture, coming together, doing some small group assemblies, doing some community building, really reimagining Gator Time, trying to build community with our kids. And it is starting to pay off. And we are, our culture is coming back and is really blossoming, and it's exciting to see. And there are so many supports and pieces in place that serve our kids. Gator Time being one of them, which is an advisory that our students experience for 25 minutes a day, 4 days a week. But there are so many other issues as well. Jana, are you able to talk now maybe about the—
I'm terribly sorry. I don't know what happened. I don't know where you lost me. What did you hear last?
Mostly about the transition program. We really didn't hear anything you said about social motion. And I'm not sure if
Okay.
you had launched into counseling, but we didn't hear that either.
Okay. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry about that. So I think I was intending to talk about how we know in general that middle school can be a really hard time. And so we've been very mindful of finding different avenues to make sure every student is accounted for. We, as the counseling team, we are very much in communication with teachers to make sure we're aware of the needs, whether they're academic or social emotional. We work with teachers to figure out different activities and ways to check in with students. And what's really wonderful is our kids really do look out for each other. So in addition to just the fact that we have 3 academic counselors, we have a counselor on staff from Mercer Island Youth and Family Services who also has an intern, and we meet on a regular basis to talk about all the different services that we think could be helpful to our students. Harry Brown from Youth and Family Services and we run a program called Sources of Strength, where we really work with peer leaders throughout our school community to make sure that everybody's kind of looking out for each other and able to focus on some of the positives, especially when times are hard. So it's, we try very hard through all of our different programming to support all the academic and social emotional elements that middle school can bring with the developmental challenges in front of them. And so it would be hard pressed for a student to come to school and not feel supported or connected. I would imagine it's very few and far between that would feel like they're not having eyes and adults paying a lot of attention to them.
Well, and to that end,
do you want me to talk about?
Oh yeah, go ahead. Do you want to talk about extracurriculars, Jane, or do you want me to jump in there? Oh, okay. So like Walter was saying, it's okay. No worries.
I'd be glad to. Yeah. So we also, can you hear me?
Oh, no, not again. So
take over, Mary Jo.
Yeah, we have not the depth of extracurriculars that the high school does, but we have a lot of opportunity for students to get involved, and we feel like their connection after school and before school is every bit as important as what they're learning during the school day. It's funny, our options are much more middle school. Like one of our biggest clubs is Dungeons and Dragons, and we have 50 middle schoolers sitting on the floor playing this really intensive imagination centered game, and it's so cool to watch them playing together and interacting together in such positive and proactive ways. And like Jana said, our kids really do show up for each other. They are middle schoolers, and they are pretty self-focused and pretty peer driven, and they definitely are trying to figure out where they fit and who they fit with, but ultimately they do care, and they want to be what their community wants, what their family wants. They really are trying to be amazing people, and they are so fun to be with every day. I think that's why I've decided to stay in middle school for my whole life. Because they are such amazing people, and they are amazing people because of you, because of the incredible families that we have the honor to serve. And at IMS, our doors are always open to parents. Our kids often will push their parents away at the middle level, but we really want to tell you that we want partnership with our parents. We have multiple ways for parents to get involved through our Just Community, which is our equity team, our parent advisory committee, which meets with our principals on a monthly basis. Our PTSA is just incredible. There are so many chances to be a part of the middle school, and our doors are always open. Our counselors meet with parents continually and serve as liaisons between 6 or 7 different teachers and a family, and are just such incredible resources. And we just are always open and want our kids and our parents to feel like they are the most important things, because they are. So we really welcome you and hope you choose us.
So before we go into questions, and I think we will try to use the breakout rooms just to kind of tie it all back together. At the beginning, I talked about the values, vision, and mission of the school district. While I can set the stage and talk about the words and that we're committed to the whole child and inclusive and equitable learning settings and safe and supportive environments for our students and rigorous and challenging learning, what I hope you heard is what it looks like in action. That we are really trying to match what we're providing, the programs we're offering, the services with those values and making those decisions. And so, one of the themes we've been using as a leadership team this year is knowing every student and staff member by name, strength, and need. And so thinking about those touch points in the high school, thinking about those opportunities in the middle school, and our elementaries are hard at work as well, really making sure that our students are connected, because we know when they're invested in their school and they feel like they own the school, then they're going to thrive and it's going to become personal for them. And so that school is something that they're engaging in and it's not something being done to them.